Coming up on this episode of the Designers of Change podcast.
And so when you are out there today, and all of us, we are going to face a Goliath when the odds are against you. How do you win when the odds are against you? When you are the underdog, when you don't have any resource, when the big bad wolf is breathing down your neck, do you run or do you fight? But here's the thing, if you're going to fight, you have to ensure that the spoils is worth it. No, if spoils is worth it, then you have to take on your Goliath.
In a world filled with opposition that we have to face every single day, with many big bad wolves and other scary things that we are afraid to face, we want to talk to you today about how you as an underdog can actually overcome. And so we're going to be taking lessons from David and Goliath's story. So you want to stick and stay for this one. But before we jump into that, of course, we have to big up our amazing sponsors: J. Smyrie Media, Mind Food International, Superlative Auto, Amanda's Kitchen, Grace Creates, SK Catering, Jesse's Home Decor, Max 24/7 Wrecking Services, also to Regional Consulting Services Limited in Cayman, Caribbean Gospel TV, and the Self-Care Bar. You want to make sure you have a pen and paper, your iPad, whatever it is that you take notes on. You have to have that out today because it's going to be an interesting discussion.
Yes, another episode, and today we're going to talk about how can you win as an underdog in a world filled with Goliaths. But we want you to be a David. You know the thing, when David was approaching Goliath, and this is one of the first lessons we want to ensure. When David heard that Goliath was there, he asked what was in it for him. And they said, you know what, whoever beat Goliath will get one of the king's daughter. They will be exempted from tax, and there was other perks in it. And so David asked three persons, what in it for me? But here's the thing, never go to war where there are no spoils.
We've shared that with you before.
We shared that with you. And so when David was about to take on Goliath, he said, I want to subscribe to this. I want to subscribe to this because I want to take on this Goliath. I am not going to run from him, even though the Israelites army, they were afraid of Goliath. But because this guy, he was a war champion, he was a big tall guy. And so when you are out there today, and all of us, we are going to face a Goliath when the odds are against you. How do you win when the odds are against you? When you are the underdog, when you don't have any resource, when the big bad wolf is breathing down your neck, do you run or do you fight? But here's the thing, if you're going to fight, you have to ensure that the spoils is worth it. No, if the spoils is worth it, then you have to take on your Goliath. No, a lot of time Goliath, they are overconfident. Goliath was overconfident. And when somebody is overconfident, it is also a sign that they can be defeated. And so when you are going to take on your Goliath will be almost sure of victory. But you can't allow that to scare you away. Goliath also rely on yesterday's success. We have seen a lot of major company went underneath because they are relying on yesterday success. And here's the thing, never let your last big thing be your last big thing. And so when you're going up against a Goliath in any area of your life, as a leader, as a small company, whatever it is, your Goliath is relying on last year's success, because that is what give them the intimidating factor.
So in other words, your opponent, right, for want of a better word, is relying on the fact that they have had past wins. But it doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the outcome that they're going to receive while in combat with you, right?
Goliath also rely on status and strength, because Goliath, he was known. He was known. His name, he was the undefeated heavyweight champion. He was a big bad wolf. And so when you're going up against your Goliath, it is publicized. His victory is publicized. His wins are dominant. And so when you see something coming up against you that is dominant, when Netflix was going up against a blockbuster was the big bad Goliath, with over thousands of store, billions of revenue, and here was a little company coming up. So how do you win? How do you win those battles as a underdog?
And underdog meaning that you have pretty much just started business. You probably, you're fresh out of university and you're stepping into corporate and you don't have the experience. And an underdog could also mean an employee having to face an issue with their employer.
Yes.
The point is, Goliaths have experience, they have resources, they have certain skills, maybe special talents, right? And so
and they have the status.
Right, and
they have the status.
And in your mind, you're thinking that I cannot win because of who I'm facing.
But you can win. So here's the first one. I want you to get your pen and paper right now while you are listening to this podcast, because you can win against insurmountable
obstacles.
Obstacle in
and
any area.
Can I say at this point in time that it doesn't have to be a person. Maybe you're facing an illness. We want you to apply these principles from the David and Goliath story to whatever it is you're facing in whatever area of life, because it is possible.
It is possible. And the first one is to change the rule of engagement with your Goliath.
Powerful.
In business, they call it the blue water strategy. And so the blue water strategy are the change in the rule of engagement. When David was going up against Goliath, Saul, the king, wanted to give him his armor. Because Goliath was expecting a sword-to-sword combat. David said, no, I'm not going to fight you on your terms. So you can't fight your Goliath on their terms. You have to change the rules of engagement. Goliath say, you know what? David say, you know what? I'm going to use a sling. No, in that moment, Goliath weapon become obsolete, because David was now as like a sniper shooter. Let me put this in business context. When Apple entered music industry, we were still listening music from a CD, from cassette, from wherever you are. So Apple said, you know what? We are not going to use the same method that all these big guys are using. We are going to stream. We are going to produce. Apple is going to stream Apple Music. And so Apple made their competitor obsolete. And so you need to change.
We don't need your CDs. We don't need your CD player. We have a platform that our people will listen music from. So in that case, the more people who are iPhone users, they're going to stop buying CDs and CD players. So that's what I just want to mention also. A part of the blue ocean strategy in business, which is changing the rules of engagement, also has to speak to what works for you, right? The person you are facing may be comfortable in their own area of what it is they do, but you can put a spin on it. You can come with a different perspective, and that may be the winning one. Go ahead.
And so that is true. When you change the rule of engagement, what you are saying is that you make Goliath weapon obsolete in that moment, because a sword versus a sling in that moment, swordmanship was obsolete in that moment,
in that one particular fight.
In that moment
it didn't matter, right?
And so as a leader, whatever you are going to face, you don't want to face Goliath on their term. You want to change the rule of engagement and fight them on your term. Let their weakness, let their strength become their disadvantage, and let your disadvantage become your advantage. Because in that moment, a sling was like a sniper shooter, going up against a swordman. And so in that moment, Goliath with his big strength, it was now a disadvantage. Another one, when facing your Goliath, you must have different perspective.
Yes.
Perspective can change a lot of things. You know, back in the 80s, before chewing gum was what it is, chewing gum was just a bland piece of resin that people used to chew on. And so you know what Wrigley's do? Wrigley's today is a massive brand in the candy industry. Wrigley's say, what if I add flavor to the chewing gum? And that's all Wrigley's did, and revolutionize the industry. No,
absolutely.
Anybody could have add flavor to the chewing gum,
but they never
did. And so Wrigley's add flavor to it. And what Wrigley's did, Wrigley's come out with Winter Fresh. They come out with Juicy Fruity. They come out with Big Red. They come out with Spearmint. All Wrigley's did was to add flavor to this thing that nobody liked. And then Wrigley's reposition does the chewing gum. It is now to freshen your breath. It is now to whiten your teeth. And so when you're faced with your Goliath, you have to adapt a new perspective. When David looked at Goliath, David looked at him and said, Goliath is too big to miss.
You can't miss him, right?
You can't miss him.
But it could be that you could have had, everybody else who didn't want to face Goliath was saying, he's too big for me. He's going to hurt me.
Yes.
But David's perspective was so different that he was saying, he's so big, I can't miss him.
I can't miss.
Right? Not only that, I also want to mention, you started out with this saying that David specifically said, Saul, thank you for your armor. Thank you for your shield. I don't need them. Understand this. David was a boy.
Yes, he was a boy.
David could not have handled a shield of that magnitude. Shields are actually so big, heavy, because that's, of course, it's a protective gear. Not only that, but the sword themselves are heavy. David could not manage this kind of military equipment, and so he know right then and there that this is just not for me. I will use something else. And so, I love that. But, there's so much more that is to come. We want to take a break right here. When we get back, we have some more lessons to share about the David and Goliath story. And we can use these as underdogs when we're facing some really serious opponents. Stick and stay. David and Goliath's story has so much that we can unpack, and we're actually unpacking them right here. But, fresh off our break, we want to say a huge thank you to our amazing sponsors, Jace Myrie Media, Mind Food International, Superlative Auto, This Self-Care Bar. We're going to talk about that a little later. Also, Mags 24/7 Wrecking Services, Amanda's Kitchen, Grace Creates, Jesse's Home Decor, SK Catering, Regional Consulting Services, all the way from Cayman, Caribbean Gospel TV. And listen, we have so many more sponsors to come, because guess what? We speak about making effective changes in our life. So, Mr. right back to you.
So we were talking about changing your perspective. When you are faced with Goliath,
right?
And Goliath mean that insurmountable
odds, difficulties
that stuck against you. And you are now the underdog, and you can be the underdog in every facet of life. And so when you are the underdog, you have to change your perspective.
Yes, you have to.
You have to change. If not, you are going to go underneath. What can I do different? Where does my advantage lie? And so even in the media industry right now, we are seeing where radio station, newspaper company, they have to start, because they are now the underdog. One time they were the Goliath.
The big dogs.
They were now the big dog. But no, but with social media and podcasts, they have now become the underdog. So how do they change your perspective to live in an ever-changing world?
Powerful.
And so you have to, as a leader, as an individual, you have to be able to change your perspective.
Yes,
so that
yes.
you can win those insurmountable odds. You know, when we go to America, when Barnes& Noble was the giant, Amazon comes up against Barnes& Nobles in their early years, in the early 90s. And Amazon say, you know what, we're going to sell book online. While the physical bookstore, they were mushrooming, the Barnes& Nobles, they were the big giant. But when Amazon came on, they were like the David, and they say, you know what, we are going to do something different. Our perspective is that we are going to sell book online. And now Amazon is a giant. So what can you do as a leader to change your perspective when you are faced with the odds? Because you can't look at it the same way.
Sure.
You know, Wayne Dyer said something. Wayne Dyer said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Let me say it again. Wayne Dyer said that if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So when you are faced with your Goliath, you have to change your perspective. You have to see things differently.
Powerful. And, you know, I don't want us to ever think that, you know, when we say these things, we think that it's a walk in the park. No. Because you would have had 20, 30, 40, maybe 60, 70 years of conditioning that you are telling yourself that this situation cannot change. Oh, I grew up like this. I'm from a poor background, so I'm always going to be at a disadvantage. There's a lot that you have to unlearn and relearn. And so it takes time for you to actually get to that place where you can say, well, I'm no longer a victim. You know, this is my story and I can change it. However, this is something that is so vital from the David and Goliath principle, because David had a different perspective. Now, another one that I know you have in your arsenal to unpack is we have to be agile. But what does agility really mean?
I mean, here's the thing with the Goliaths of this world. The Goliaths of this world, they are big and they are sluggish. Let me say it again. The Goliaths of this world, they are big and they are sluggish. And we can see it in organization. When an organization grow to, let's say, they have 50,000 employees, 30,000 employees, it is very hard for an organization to change course. For example, Blockbuster, it was very hard for Blockbuster to change course because they have thousands of stores, they have thousands of employees. So they are big and they are sluggish. So when David was facing Goliath was a big man. He had an armor. He had javelin.
So he would have been slow.
He would have been slow. Now think about David. When David was facing Goliath, David never had any armor. The guy was free. He was nimble.
Young.
He was agile. And so if you are a leader and you are not agile in this world, change is going to take you out. You have to be able to be agile, to be able to adapt to change.
Quickly and do it quickly.
And do it quickly.
Because the changes are happening quickly.
The changes are happening quickly.
It could be that when you are facing your insurmountable odds, the institution that you may be up against, whatever the case is, they would have had years and years, decades of policies that they can't even change overnight either. What are the loopholes that you can possibly find that would help your story, would help to benefit you? You have to start looking at things in that kind of way. Here's another thing too, Mr. Wright. Sometimes when we feel as though we are we're the grasshoppers. Remember the story in the Bible with the 12 spies, and only 2 of them came back with good report. The other 10 said, "Oh, we're like grasshoppers in these people's eyes," which nothing never goes so right. But you know, in order for you to not view yourself like that, it means you have to play to your strengths. What are your strengths? What are the advantages that you have that you're missing right now that you can use? Those things are leverage for you to get out of the situation. Let me give you a really practical example. Let's say, for instance, you're saying, boy, I want to apply for this job. I don't have the degree, but I have more years of service than what they're asking for. As a recruiter, that's fine. Maybe the company can help to send you to school to get you qualified. Maybe they actually need somebody like you. You know, maybe it is that you don't have the experience, but you have the degree. You don't know.
Yes.
Play to your strengths. What do you have in your hand? We're going back to Bible again. You know, when Moses was at the Red Sea, and you know, he's like, God, hey, listen, fix this. And God is like, what do you have in your hand? Yes, stretch it out. What do you have in your hand that you can use as your strength?
Yeah, and that's another point. Oh, you tackle your Goliath. Play to your strength. Play to your advantage. You know, Bruce Lee said something. Bruce Lee said, I don't fear the man who know 10,000 kicks. Yeah, let me put that out. He said, Bruce Lee said, I don't fear the person who knows 10,000 different kicks. He said, I fear the man who practice one kick 10,000 times.
Oh, I love
because
that.
He have mastered that. And so play to your strength. Play to what you master. You know, when David killed the bears and the lion, he used his sling.
Yeah.
He used his sling.
So he knew his capability.
He knows his capability.
And he had a track record.
And
What's
he has
your
a track record. And you have a track record. So what is your track record? You know, when Shelley and Fraser Price break out in the 100 meter and become the world champion, Olympic champion, what Shelley and Fraser Price did, Shelley and Fraser Price as a start that no other female had. When she get out of that block, she was almost 10 meters in front of you. Now, it is your opportunity to catch Shelley and Fraser Price, but she knows that when the guns go, she's going to be in front of you. That's her strength, and she plays that and she win gold medal from that. No, you can't play with Goliath's strength. If you know Goliath's strength is there, do not contest Goliath and his strength. You have to play to your strength, and that is what give you your advantage. David could not use Saul's sword. He knows nothing about swordmanship. He knows nothing about swordmanship, but he knows every single thing about a sling and a stone.
Absolutely.
And that is what makes the difference. So play to your strength. Netflix play to their strength. They did not focus on blockbuster strength. Spirit Airline play to their strength.
Yeah.
They are the plane, they are the home of the bear fair. They don't try to compete with Delta. They don't try to compete with American Airlines.
They did their own thing, and then guess what happened? The entire airline market started playing off of Spirit strength because they realized, man, these people are making money over there.
And so play to your strength.
You know, as we look to wrap up, there is something that I like to tell people, because sometimes we think that we can just follow the traditional methods all the time. But life is constantly changing. The world we're living in is changing. So sometimes you have to embrace unconventional strategies in order for you to win as an underdog. Yes.
I mean, when David went against Goliath, I'm sure they were laughing at
Of
David.
course they were.
Where are you going with us?
They were telling him to go home.
Where are you going with us?
What are you doing here?
Where are you going? You know, when Uber popped up on the scene, Uber said, you know what? We are going to challenge these taxi guys. We are not going to say it's a taxi service. We are going to say ride sharing. We are going to share ride around here. And guess what? That was uncommon. That was unheard of. You can pay somebody a $15 or $5 to go wherever you want to go by using your cab. You can do it part-time. We are going to use unconventional strategy. So when you face your Goliath, here's what I want you to do. I want you to break the rule, not the law. Don't break the law. If you break the law, the police will lock you up. I want you to break the rules. The rules are man-made to achieve your purpose and stuff like that. But you want you to break the rules.
There are societal norms, there are status quo.
Exactly, yeah.
You don't have to operate like that. And sometimes those are the same confines that keep us stuck and limited. So as an underdog, you have to look out there in the market for the needs that are not being met. And you have to find those unconventional ways to meet them. And so guess what? This whole discussion, absolutely love it.
Yeah.
I know that if you feel as though you are at a major disadvantage, you're missing something. With the change of perspective, you can actually see that you can be victorious regardless of how big your Goliath is.
As Wayne Dyer say, if you change the way you look at things,
The things
you look at change.
Powerful.
So whatever Goliath you are facing today, and the last one, you want to pray, you want to invite God into the equation.
That's how you get the strategies.
Faith. You have to use faith. So that's the last one. Pray. For those of you probably are not a faith-based person, but I would like for you to invite Jesus, for you to invite God in that battle with Goliath.
Yeah, man.
Because if God is for us,
who can be against us?
So that means if you invite God in you, the odds change in your favor.
It changes in your favor because there's more with you than those who are against you. And I could go on and on and on because we have a book that reminds us every day of our battle tactics. And so we're victorious. We're simply just walking out our daily life. So guys, this was just a powerful, episode.
Yeah.
Again, we want to thank our amazing sponsors for making this possible. To Jace Mary Media, Mind Food International, our baby. By the way, we are available. We're getting booked months in advance for international trainings. We'll be there in your country, in your organization. If you need us, just let us know what your training needs are and we will be there. Also to Superlative Auto, Grace Creates, Amanda's Kitchen, Jess's Home Decor, SK Catering, Max 24/7 Wrecking. Also, we have Regional Consulting Services Limited in Cayman, Caribbean Gospel TV, or our brothers and sisters all over the world. They're working so hard. We are grateful for what we are able to produce. And just before we go, I want to show you guys something.
Be careful now.
I know it's super heavy. The self-care bar is a premium health and wellness company that caters to, listen, the human being, our wellness, taking care of ourselves, right? This is a mail package and it is just absolutely stunning. I want to show you guys a scrub, that's body oil. There's a candle in there. What is this thing? It's something to cleanse the face. It's a facial cleansing brush. Aromatherapy oil. I think this is a soap right here. And these are all, let me tell you, top of the line products. Face mask. We have to do a more in detail video, but I just wanted to show you what our Jamaican companies are out here doing. Truly proud of this brand. And so guys, we are looking forward to so much more partnerships to come. Beautiful packaging. Thank you again to Self-Care Bar. And stick and stay, guys.
And subscribe. We can't lift that. Yes, subscribe. Yes, we want you to hit that subscription button. We put a lot into the production, as you can see. So subscribe so we can pay Jace.
Blessings.